And actually, before we get into this video, I want to say this precursor. For all of the people who clicked on this video and came here to tell me that I look like a man, I still look like a man, I have a wound in my body, it's not a vagina, it's a hole, it's disgusting, it doesn't get wet, anybody that has sex with me is gay, I still look like a man, my shoulders are too big, I sound like a man, I will never be a woman, I'll never be able to bear kids with this vagina that's not a vagina, I'm a disgusting person, God doesn't make mistakes, all of those things heard. Hey everybody, it is I, Hope Giselle, and I am back. I don't really know where to look, so don't judge me because I'm looking at my phone camera, but I'm trying to look at myself because that looks like it might be more natural. But just bear with me. We're getting back into these YouTube streets. First and foremost, if you read the title, then you kind of know why I'm here. I have elected to have SRS, gender reassignment surgery, bottom surgery, whatever you want to call it. I have had it, and I'm here to talk about it. I'm here to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, all of the things, because what I realized in doing my research and then actually having the procedure done is that bitches be on here playing. Like, they be on here, like, y'all be on here playing in these people's faces. Y'all was on here playing in my face because the things that the people needed to know, y'all wasn't saying stuff. So I am here to give you all my personal account about, you know, how this works. I'm not gonna give too much away. I know y'all want to see the clips. I know y'all want to see videos and things of that nature, but we're saving some things for a special surprise a little bit later in the year. But I did want to come and just talk a little bit about it. So without further ado, I am going to hop right into this video. Once again, if y'all see my eyes bouncing around, darting around, it's just because I'm trying to find the best placement to put my face on the screen because I'm not sure where exactly to be looking. I'm gonna get it together though. I'm gonna get it together. And actually, before we get into this video, I want to say this precursor. For all of the people who clicked on this video and came here to tell me that I look like a man, I still look like a man, I have a wound in my body, it's not a vagina, it's a hole, it's disgusting, it doesn't get wet, anybody that has sex with me is gay, I still look like a man, my shoulders are too big, I sound like a man, I will never be a woman, I'll never be able to bear kids with this vagina that's not a vagina, I'm a disgusting person, God doesn't make mistakes, all of those things heard. Thank you. My hands are big and I'm 5'10". Did I miss anything? I think I'm good. And that's not just for cisgender heterosexual people. That's not just for ignorant folks who are not a part of the queer community, because believe it or not, there are some trans girls and gay boys that are just as horrible as the rest of those ignorant ass people. So I have said all of the things for y'all. I have read myself for y'all. You should not feel the need to hop in the comments, because I'm actually going to reorder this video so that you hear that section of it twice, right? So before we actually get into the nitty gritty of this video, you would have heard me read myself twice. And if you're still here after that, you a fan. And it's no reason why you should, you know, still be here at this point. Now, on with the video. So I elected to have GRS surgery after many years of thinking about it. It wasn't something that I felt like I needed at first, you know? Like when I was growing up, I remember being really close with my mom. Me and my mom are kind of like the same person, you know, almost. And like we have very similar attitudes. We move and navigate people in a very similar way. And so it was one of those things that coming from a space where when I was younger, even though my mom might not ever remember this because we're in a different place, we're in a better place now, she'll never, you know, tell you the truth. But I remember her telling me, like, when I was younger, that if I came home as anything other than her son, she doesn't know me and she wouldn't come to the funeral, right? Like, those were her words, and those words stuck with me. And so when I did learn that transgenderism was a thing and I could take control over who I was going to be and how I would present in the world, I remember those words echoing in my head. And so for so long, those words, you know, were a huge part of how I navigated my transition. They were huge in the fact that, like, I had always told myself, like, I'm never going to have the bottom surgery because if I have the bottom surgery, I'm going to lose the relationship that I have with my mom, right? She can take a lot, but if I do that, then I lose my mom for life. I'm never going to be able to see her. And if God forbid something does happen to me before something happens to her, like, who gonna plan a funeral if not my mama, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so it was one of those things that was like hectic and crazy and just off the wall for me. And so GRS surgery, SRS surgery, or bottom surgery just became something that I was like, okay, we're not even going to go there, because if it means losing my mom, it means doing too much. And I just remember like pondering it for so long and pondering it for so long and pondering it for so long until about 2 years ago, where I just genuinely started to feel uncomfortable in my own body, in my sex life, in a bunch of different, like in the way that I maneuvered in social spaces. I couldn't wear certain outfits. I couldn't do certain things just because I was always navigating around this piece of me that at this point now, it's just becoming a nuisance because it's a hindrance to me. It doesn't add any zest to my life. I don't get any zing zap zipper, you know what I'm saying? And so it became one of those things where I was just like, I have to do something about this, and I have to do something about this despite or in spite of, because if I don't, I'm going to be miserable. And so I started the quest. Like, I had been looking for people. I had looked up the videos. I had done all the things. And, you know, like found all of the people, but for so long I was still like, okay, I don't have the money. And then I started to work and I started to get all of this new money and all of this new, you know, all of these new opportunities started to pop. And then my social media started to pop. And so my bank account started to grow. And there were just so many different things. And it's no offense and no shade to the girls who have gotten this and had a really great experience. But there's just certain things that I don't believe in the government paying for. I don't believe in the government being able to dictate to me the size of the boobs that I want, especially considering that they say that it's a vanity surgery. If it is going to be a vanity surgery, then I deserve to be able to enjoy the vainness that I'm going to get and all the vanity perks. And so like I was hearing, you know, through the grapevine that like with breast augmentation, they were telling the girls that you could only get up to a certain amount of cc's and all of these other things. And, you know, for bottom surgery, when I started to do a little bit of research, it was pretty much the same thing. Like they had to choose the doctor had to be in network, the doctor had to do this. Like there were so many hoops that you had to jump through, and especially being a girl who didn't live in New York or Cali at the time. I've been through those places, but I you know, I wasn't living there when I was, you know, making the choice to, you know, find a doctor that I liked. It was nerve-wracking. It was really, really nerve-wracking. And the thought of like having the government or Medicaid or whatever tell me that I had to get something and go through somebody that I may or may not have been comfortable with just didn't work for me. And then also, not that it matters or not that it really, you know, means too much of shit, but I also wanted to be one of those people that paid for my own shit. Like, I hate the idea of a bunch of cishet people, you know, hopping online or hopping in the comments and being like, my tax paying dollars are going to this. Like, I had to, you know, like, I don't believe in this. And so the fact that I had to help pay for X, Y, about half of you bitches ain't paid taxes since Harriet Tubman stopped running the Underground Railroad, but that's a whole nother conversation. But also, I did want that to be something that people could come and say to me and it be true, and then I have to kind of sort of be like, well, you know what, let me explain this to you. A lot of us don't have the resources and the networks, and so I was just happy that the universe provided and made it possible for me to be somebody that could do this, because that was a huge thing for me. I want to be able to check a bitch and be like, my pocket, my purse, I shook it, I paid for it. You know what I'm saying? And no, I didn't have to engage in sex work for it. And so this whole, you know, process was huge for me. And that's, once again, not a dig to my sisters who did engage in sex work and do engage in sex work every day, because we understand that, you know, being a minority person in America, and especially being a Black trans woman in America, is tough. And sometimes you got to make it do what it do to get what you want. You know, you got to use what you got to get what you want. Players Club reference. We all know that. We family over here, right? And so essentially, once I had all of my coins in a row, once I had all of my ducks in a row, I decided that for this particular procedure, I wanted a Black doctor. I wanted a doctor who was a Black person. I wanted a doctor who was a Black person. I needed my doctor to be Black because I wanted somebody who understood the anatomy of Black women. I wanted a doctor that understood what Black vagina was supposed to look like. I wanted a doctor who knew, the gist of what it meant to have, a beautiful, in the eyes of the beholder, right? Black vulva. And I wanted someone who was comfortable with my skin because I have keloid problems, child. All of my tattoos have damn near keloided. The only thing that, has not keloided are my ears or any, you know what I'm saying? So because I knew the risk, I wanted to make sure that I was dealing with a person who understood my skin, who understands Black skin, and then also understands Black aesthetics and how we want to look and how things, should be flowing out here in these streets. And so that was huge for me. I ended up finding Dr. Jude Apoku out Philly, and he is amazing. My surgery date was January 28th, and let's just say that COVID is, she a bitch. I'ma just say it. She a bitch. I don't like her. We not friends. We not family. I don't want to kick you with you, smoke with you, hang with you, nothing. I don't want to do none of that. But COVID is just COVID, Covisha, girl. She was doing right. So on the day of my surgery, my boyfriend and two good friends of mine came with me to the hospital bright and early in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. We had to drive from where I live to Philly, which was quite a little drive. It was a little minute, you know what I'm saying? We drove up to Philly to go to the doctor's office, and everything was really dope and really cool. And then the morning of the 28th, we get up there only to find out that my boyfriend was not allowed to even come in, and be my one guest. They weren't accepting anybody. And this was kind of jarring because they didn't tell me that the day before. Everybody else was allowed to at least have one person in the hospital. And considering that they were making, insurance and the hospitals be making a real big deal about something being elective and how it's not really necessary and how it's a bullshit surgery, but then they'll turn around and be oh, but for your safety and for da 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 da, and this is really a thing, right? It'd be the hypocriticism for me, and I can't stand it. But nevertheless, my boyfriend couldn't come in with me, and so I had to go through this alone. And y'all, I had a little moment when I walked away from my friends and I walked away from my boyfriend and I just made my way through the hospital. I had a little moment. And I'm not going to lie, I was just feeling really scared and really alone, and not because of the surgery, but just because I had this idea of what it was going to be that morning. I had this idea of holding my boyfriend's hands into the ER, before whatever. And it was just one of those things where I had to go through that shit all on my lonesome, and it was just crazy. My mom called in the nick of time because mamas can feel energy, and my mom and I had a quick little call or whatever, and that kind of brought me down, and it made me feel a lot better, just to know that okay, you doing too much, girl, let's just get this over with here. So the team comes in, they prep me for everything. After I finish crying, I'm still crying, my boyfriend calls, and all of this stuff. So I'm doing all of the things right before we go in, and I'm putting on my hairnet and all of this stuff. And the anesthesiologist comes in, and when I tell y'all, he was like a ninja with that stuff. He was like a ninja. I ain't never been knocked out so fast in my goddamn life without real warning. He comes in, he introduces himself and all that jazz, child. But he was like, I'm gonna give you a little something before I put the real stuff in, just to relax you, just to get you going. You know what I'm saying? And then we gonna slide on out to this ER room. So he puts whatever he puts in the IV, and I slide on to the ER. Dr. Apoku's there, smiles all around. Everybody in the ER is there. I had a Black woman who was assisting him. Shouts out to the Black sister who was assisting him. So I had a Black surgeon and a Black nurse's aide, or a Black doctor's assistant. I don't know what to call it. So please, don't beat me up in the comments for downgrading her position. She might have also been a surgeon herself. I don't know, but I just know they were working together. She was the right-hand woman for the day. Okay. And so I saw them. I got greeted by the other nurses that were in the room. And then after I was greeted by the other nurses that were in the room, I just was asleep. like I was asleep. Like I don't recall the anesthesiologist like putting anything else in the tube. I don't recall him saying like, "Hey, count back 10." You know, I don't recall nothing else. All I remember hearing was Natasha Bedingfield. I got a bucket full of sunshine. I got a love, and I know that it's all mine. That, and I was out. And so I wake up to like the vision of palm trees on the ceiling and some white woman standing over me saying, "You're absolutely beautiful. Your skin is so radiant and beautiful, and you did so well in there. Everything looks so good." And I'm just like, who are you, Kathy? Like, who is you? And why is you the first person I'm seeing, right? Like, I wasn't in any pain or anything like that, y'all, but like the idea of this white lady just standing over me going, "You're so beautiful," was just kind of like get out-ish, you know? And I was just like, okay, right? But I wasn't in any pain. Everything was like really cool. Everything was like super fine and really dope. And because I don't want this video to run super long, I'm not gonna give like a bunch of like background details. I'm trying to keep this video 30 minutes or less, right? And so after I wake up and see Karen, Kathy, Kegel, you know, whatever, you know, standing over me with all of the compliments and things of that nature, I'm wheeled into a room where I have to stay for 3 days by myself. For those of you all who are going to ask me if I was in pain, I was not in any pain at all throughout any part of this process. I was only uncomfortable, right? And I cannot stress that enough, because a lot of people, including the doctors, right? Like a lot of doctors, even in the research that I was doing from other doctors who perform this procedure, they are still amazed at how we come out of this surgery and we're not dying in agony of pain, right? Because they understand what they're doing. And we also understand what's being, you know, done to our bodies. But I don't know, but at no point was I in any like real pain or like anything that would make me scream and call for Jesus, right? Like none of those things like happened. So essentially I'm wheeled into this room for 3 days. I am on a catheter, which was so flippin' uncomfortable. I could not wait for them to take that catheter out of me. It was the most annoying part of the entire 3 days, like outside of having to lay down. Now, at first, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, that first night was excruciating because I thought I was gonna have to lay on my back for 3 days straight. And I guess after laying on that super hard ass like operation table for so long, and then being like in a room, like I don't lay on my back, I lay on my side fetal position, you know, I lay on the other side fetal position, like I toss and turn from side to side at night, but sleeping on my back is a hell to the fuck no, and sleeping on the front is a no-no, because these things are not comfortable to sleep on. So essentially when I like woke up from, you know, being drugged and morphined and all of the things, and I realized that the sedatives were starting to step off, my back was on fire. Okay, like when I tell y'all my lower back was on fire, I tried to like nudge a pillow or two up under there, and the lady had told me I couldn't stand up for 3 days. There was no walking, there was no nothing. And so I'm in this hospital bed, I'm uncomfortable, my back is on fire, there's not enough meds in the world to like, you know, make me not feel that. And so I am just like crying because it is the most uncomfortable thing. Once again, like I said, it wasn't painful. It was just so uncomfortable that it was just like, I want to cry because I just want to be comfortable, right? I texted my doctor at 3 a.m. in the morning, and at 3 a.m. in the morning, he responded and said that I could roll over on my side. So I alternated from side to side for 3 days, but that was the most like boring, long, ridiculous 3 days in the history of 3 days that I've ever spent in my life, where I just genuinely could not get up, could not move, couldn't do anything except lay there. I'm gonna do another video about like different updates and things, so I'm not gonna tell you how far I am at this video, but just know we're at a good point by this time. And it was just real funny how nobody just gave it, like nobody gave a fuck that I had to like reach around and do the reach over for my food the whole 3 days. Like nobody asked me. And I wasn't gonna say nothing because I don't like being a patient that's like complaining, because next door there was an Army veteran that was giving them the fucking blues, bitch. He was over there cussing them out. That man was over there calling them all types of bitches. Like he was over there giving them their money's worth for being nurses, okay? And I didn't want to add to any of that because just like McDonald's, girl, you do too much and they spit in your food. I don't have time for y'all to be spitting in my food. So I was a good little patient, child. I politely felt around for my spoons and my forks and my utensils, okay? And I put my food in my bed and I made it do what it do for the 3 days that I was gonna eat whatever I was gonna eat. But I spent most of those 3 days drinking on apple juice and water and the occasional sherbet with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That was how I made it through those 3 days. After that, I was released and I was able to go to my hotel, which was the Marriott downtown Philly. They took really good care of me, especially considering that like I hadn't walked in 3 days, and the nurse who did my discharge, she gave me morphine right before I left. So when I finally stood up, I was so dizzy and nauseous, y'all, that I threw up all over the Marriott Hotel's like lobby. When I tell you I threw up all over their front desk, like where you check in at, I threw up all over they shit. Like it was really bad. And like the staff there was amazing. I did not get charged extra for throwing up over there, and I threw up in an elevator. It was really bad because I had not gotten up to walk in days. And so it's like that morphine was running through my system like, you were supposed to be laying down when you took this. You were supposed to lay down. You don't get up after me. You sleep after me. That's what you do. And the morphine was just not having it. So it came up and out in the Marriott Hotel, all up and through their lobby. And they were so hospitable. Like Marriott downtown Philly, if you don't go to nowhere else, go to Marriott downtown Philly when you stand in Philly, because the staff just knows what they got going on. Shouts out to Miss Wanda. Okay, she was the lady who came and did room cleaning and all of that stuff. And Miss Wanda did not care about my bandages, my bloody pillows that I had done used up and bled on them people's pillows and things of that nature. Miss Wanda came through and cleaned that room, baby girl. Okay, and then Miss Wanda also brought me some broccoli and cheddar soup. How she knew I love broccoli and cheddar soup, she didn't, but God had sent her, okay? So you can't tell me that the Lord don't be looking out for the girls, because the Lord had knew that I needed some broccoli and cheddar soup, and Miss Wanda came through with the soup on the GP. So I was like, yes, God, okay? I spent about 2 weeks there before it was time for me to come back home. And then I spent another about 2 weeks in bed. I'm not gonna give a lot more details in this video because I do want to give you all another like video where I can answer just a bunch of questions. So if you have a bunch of questions, drop them in the comments and I will keep them from there. I also do like a whole thing on my Instagram where we talk a little bit through there, and I'll take some questions from there. And then I will do a whole Q&A video for everybody who has questions on top of the questions. But this was just for me to say, hey y'all, I had GRS. It was for me. I am feeling really great. I feel awesome. I feel amazing. And if you haven't seen me on my social media for a while, this is why. But I just want to let y'all know that I am back. I am back on the YouTube. I am back on my podcast. I am back on my Instagram. And I cannot wait to be back on my Patreon so y'all can see the behind the scenes of a lot more of this stuff. If you're not already a patron, then you know what you waiting for, because my Patreon people already knew I had the surgery. My Patreon people been knew. My Patreon people knew last month. You know what I'm saying? They knew last month, you know. But, you know, click the link on my Instagram if you're trying to become a Patreon person and be all up in my nitty gritty and my nosy wosy, okay? Because my Patreon people know a lot of stuff that y'all don't know. But until next time, like I say this time and every time, y'all, peace, love, and hope, and I will be back as long as the consistency of social media and the needs of people who feel like you owe them content because you are a content person do not overwhelm me, right? So I'm not gonna hold myself accountable for making a video every single week, but I'm gonna hold myself accountable for making videos more often because I love doing this. I love talking to y'all and seeing what y'all have to say, even when you are a troll, because trolls keep me paid on the, you know, the socials as well. So, you know, your comments, your dislikes and all of that stuff still make the video track. So keep doing that. All right. Until next time, y'all, peace, love, and hope. And I'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everybody.